today is hopefully the day that we get the engine put together. And I wanted to go over some things. I did a lot between the last video and now, but it was a lot of random small things that I did over the course of like 2 weeks, so I didn't get those on video. But I wanted to go over them for posterity's sake. So I removed all the plugs that were stuck in the block, the expansion plugs. I installed new plugs. I installed the rear cam plug too deep, and so I dry fit the old cam to make sure that the bearings were right, because I took out the old bearings, put in new bearings, and I was afraid that the rear bearing I put in crooked, but I was also basing that off of the rear of the block, assuming it was square. So I put the cam in, and it felt a little weird, but when I pulled the cam out, I could tell that it was rubbing against the rear plug. And so I'm thinking that was the problem, because I put the cam in and it rotates pretty freely. It kind of feels weird every now and then, but I think that's just because it's dry. It's the old cam, and I may not be twisting on right, but it spins freely. But I've got to do that first this morning. I got to put the new plug in. I had to go buy new ones, and it hurts my heart a little bit. The plug I took out said made in USA. This one says China. So I've got to replace that this morning first. So before I start doing anything else, I've cleaned everything. You saw me clean the bearing surfaces. I checked ring gap. I took all the rings and I put them in the cylinders, and I checked the gap, and that was great. Everything was, I mean, the ring gap was a little bit bigger than I would like, but like a thousandth more. So I'm not racing. It'll be fine. At least not yet. I chased all of the head, the oil pan, timing cover, water pump, all the main. I did a thread chaser to clean those out. I put the rings on the pistons. I got the pistons set. I actually shout out to Brothers Machine Shop. They got it turned around pretty quickly for me. But yeah, I didn't feel good about my other pistons, so I got these, and I got them to do all the work for me for like $80, which was great. And yeah, so a lot of just random small things. So another thing I did not get on camera, or at least I don't think I explained, is I had to buy a new crankshaft. So the only thing original on this engine now is going to be the piston rods, the push rods, and the block, and the oil pan. But that's it. So there's a crack in the crankshaft, and it's tiny, and it's probably okay, but it's one of those things where, unfortunately, you start spending money on something like this. You're like, well, I just spent this money on this new, set of pistons. Why am I going to throw a potential failure into an engine? So I'll show you that really quick, actually. I'll see if I can just take you off here. So you can see that it was rubbing against the wall of the block there, and there's a tiny little crack, and that this is one of the balancing holes they drilled in at the factory. So I mean, it's been like this from the factory. Now I don't know how long it's been had that little bitty crack in it, but that wall is super thin. Now I would throw this in another block, like if I just found a block on Facebook or something, I would throw this in there. I mean, I pretty much got everything to make a new to you engine, but I just didn't want to throw it back in. So I got a scat crankshaft. It wasn't the cheapest one, but it wasn't, the craziest one. I wanted one that was the reviews where it was fairly balanced, because I didn't pay to get this balanced. Just gonna rip it, So yeah, I'm excited to start finally. I've got to get this plug in, and then we're gonna start with the bottom end, the rotating assembly. I'm gonna dry fit the crankshaft, check the clearances with a plastic gauge, and go from there. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is hit my head. But I'm going to clean out the mains here, and I'm going to dry fit this, and I've got a plastic gauge. I'm going to check oil clearances for all the main bearings and the crankshaft. So I haven't even taken these out yet. So I'm going to spray everything down with brake cleaner, get it nice and dry, and make sure that something isn't off. So again, a reminder: this is not a how-to. This is a how done it. If I help you, great, but I don't know what I'm doing, so don't do what I do necessarily. So I want to tell you what I'm doing before I do it, because I don't think I can do it and talk at the same time, at least good or enough to do it right. So I'm going to kind of explain what I'm doing up front, stop it and show what the plastic gauge says. But let's get to it. Okay, so I got them all twerked to 65 foot-pounds, and I snugged them up with this because I wanted to make sure that they were sitting in the little groove correctly. So I snugged them down. I didn't go too tight. I just got them to where they were snug, and then I went around in like a circular formation to torque them. So now I'm going to take them off and try to pry straight up so I can take a look at plastic gauge, and hopefully there's nothing crazy going on there. Man, I've made a mess on this thing. And I did use ARP fastener lube. That way I know I'm getting an accurate read on the plastic gauge and the twerks. All right, so that's loose right there. That little groove in there makes it kind of hard, you know. You don't want to rock it really if you can avoid it. Okay, great. So I'm gonna carefully set that down in a pristine, clean environment. I'm gonna get my gauge here. I like inches, not millimeters. So it looks like we are around 2 thousandths, which is, I think, exactly what I want. So yeah, between 15 and 25, 20 is ideal. So we are ideal. Before I go too far, I want to bring in close and show what I'm looking at here. So here's my plastic gauge. Focus. And so I'm looking for 20 thou. Man, this is hard to do with one hand. So that's pretty much exactly what we want. So I wanted to come in and show. Got a nice clean mark there, and good to go. Okay, so I have cleaned off the bearings and the crank, and I just put in this seal here, this rear seal, and trying to make sure that I point the little tab in the engine in towards the inside of the engine so it seals right. But also I've got this anaerobic gasket maker here, and I'm gonna do a little line there. So that will seal up right there when I put it all down. Time to do it. Oh boy. I'm glad I bought another tube of this because I'm feeling I'm gonna need it. Stringy. Okay, so use my finger here, make this clean, get this lube all around. And one thing you don't have to worry about, I think, is too much lube, because you don't want anything to have too much friction. Yeah, this is nice and tacky. Yep, there we go. And then so I'm gonna be careful here not to touch that anaerobic, but I want to get, I want to get some on the thrust back there in front. And I'm going to do the same thing to the tops. And then I'm going to torque them all down again, lube the crank up, and then start doing the pistons. So things are happening. This is exciting. I'm ready to get it in. All right. So I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna put you on time lapse, and then we'll reconvene once everything is put together. We have the crankshaft in, torqued everything down. I backed off of these, and then I set the thrust, torqued that back down, and then just to double check the end here, make sure there's no binding, everything looks good. Gonna flip over, put the pistons in. Well, you may notice that it is a new day, and what happened is I hit a snag yesterday. I went to take these caps off, and from the machine shop, they had tightened this down so hard that I couldn't get them off. So had to get creative. Long story short, I got them off, but it pretty much took my afternoon. So here we are the next day. I'm about to start putting the pistons in. I've got number one at the bottom of the throw on the crankshaft. I'm gonna put the bearing in, and I'm gonna put some little vacuum caps on the studs here so I don't damage the crankshaft. But I'm gonna start. I'm gonna gracious. I'm gonna start with one. I'm gonna do the odd bank. I'm gonna start with one, and I'm going to plasti gauge this one. You're supposed to plasti gauge all of them, but I'm probably just gonna do one or two or three. And if those are good based on how the mains were, I'm probably just gonna run with it. I don't know, maybe not. It depends on how much time it's taking. I don't have a lot of time, and if two or three are okay, I'm just gonna say we did all of them. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna time lapse this, and we'll go from there. Time to install the bump stick. Feel pretty good so far. Just going down my list. Pistons are in, lubed up, 45 foot-pounds. Everything rotated great, no binding, nothing crazy. I checked the clearances between the piston rods, and those were great. At least I think at least 12 thousandths to 18 thousandths, and they're all at least 12, so that's good. One was tight. 3 and 4 were tight, or no, 6 and 7, no, 5 and 6 were tight, but it's okay. So now we're gonna lube up the cam. Scuba lube. And so this is not a super aggressive cam, but it is gonna be more aggressive than stock. So that's kind of what I was going for. I wanted to have some cool factor. It is the Summit 1065, and I'll go over the spec sheet here in a minute. But I'm gonna lube this bad boy up, and we're gonna put her in. Oh man, I really wish I had a stool. That'd be great. All right, let's lube this bad boy up. So this, I'm gonna be very generous with lube here. I am gonna wait until I get down towards the bottom here to lube up the end. As you push this through, again, I'm gonna talk like I know what I'm talking about for a minute, but I don't. As you push this through, all that lubricant's gonna get, pushed off by the bearings, and so I'm gonna really lube up the end here because it's gonna kind of carry that down. And we're just gonna be nice and gentle, nothing crazy. Don't want to nick the bearings more than I already have. Dry fitting it, testing it out. Okay, so get this nice and tacky with lube. We're gonna keep pushing her in gently. Come on. The farther back it gets, the harder it is to keep it squared up. And the end is the hardest one because I can't get it. Okay. Let me do it right the first time. All right, this is not like, I'm not going down to torque specs here. I'm just getting it on there so I can have something to hold on to. Give me a little bit of leverage. All right, boom. Now let's see if we can guide her in there. Oh, there we go. Nice. Okay. There we go. Easy. Easy. Everything feels good. Oh yeah. Boom, 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 boom. Just wanting to slide out though because of the angle of the engine here. So I'm going to take this back off because I've got to put the keyways in here and slide that on. Boom. Stay in. Stay. Okay. All right. Cam is in. Moving along. All right. So update. I went to install my keyways and my sprocket, and I assumed this was going to be a problem, and it was. But I got the keyways in, and they're not perfect, but they work. They're keeping it from moving. I put this in the oven for about 15 minutes at 350 to heat it up and slide it on. All the videos I've seen where it just slid right on, not true. So I tried to get creative. I thought I had a bearing puller installer somewhere, and I do. I just can't find it. So what I actually ended up doing was going to O'Reilly and renting a 39 millimeter axle nut socket, because the tool specifically for installing this looked identical. It just had a smooth interior. So this slid right over, and I had my harmonic balancer nut out, and so I basically just hammered it home. Maybe a bad idea, but anyways, I was making progress with my dead blow hammer, and I just, instead of being here all afternoon trying to knock this thing on, I just went ahead and did this. So that was an hour and a half unplanned. So now it's on. I've got it at top dead center. I'm about to actually. It's either right at or about to be at top dead center. Right about there. So anyways, I wanted to update on my improvised tool, and I rented 2 harmonic balancer installers because the one I got from AutoZone looked like it was mauled by a Tasmanian devil. So I got one from Advanced Auto. I went to all of them: Advanced Auto, O'Reilly, AutoZone. So just didn't go to Harbor Freight. It's the only place I didn't go. So I'm gonna keep working. I'm gonna install the timing chain and keep moving. So another thing that I forgot that I needed to do, that is kind of a stop, do it, I can't kind of keep rolling, is I've got to install, since I bought a new timing cover, I've got to install this gasket in here. And so what I've done, I actually did this earlier this week, is I sanded the inside of this lip here because this is powder coated. So I wanted to get this down to where I could see, just so I could see the bare metal. You know, it's not perfectly sanded, but it's at least to where I can see some shiny in there. And I did the same thing for this surface here. A lot of the reviews did say that this would leak. And so a lot of recommendations were to sand that down just in case. So I'm going to put some RTV on the outside of this, and I'm going to use this piece of wood right here to push down on, because I'm afraid if I put it down on this, it would potentially bend. So I'm gonna put some RTV on this, and then I'm going to hammer it in. I think what I'm actually gonna do, let's see. I've seen people just like hammer at them with it's a regular hammer. What I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna put this thing right here, and I'm gonna like tap it like that. Probably the worst thing about, well, one of the worst things about not having a garage and doing this is the longer this engine sits open, covered in lubricant, the more likely I am to introduce some foreign particulate into a place I don't want it. And so I'm somewhat like stressed / eager to just get this done, and I gotta go back to work. So okay, so I can just kind of set that in there. Wham bam, thank you, man. And of course, it's not going in like flush, or maybe I should just do it like this. Come on. So I wonder if I do this. Get angry with it. Ha-ha! And I'll do it. So here's the original, which I painted. And I'm glad I did, because that's how I noticed how cracked it was. But you're not supposed to paint this. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. But this one's actually, mine, the one I just installed, is actually more flush than this one. So I'm going to call it good. I'm not going to beat on it anymore, but I did install it correctly. The gap is on the inside here, and the outside's supposed to be flat. So we're good to go there. So I'm going to put this on, and let's see, I'll show you. So it's pretty much flush. All that blue came off of it, that paint. It's pretty square, because if it's cocked a little bit, there's a chance it could leak. So I think that's good. I'm not going to beat on it anymore. We're going to keep moving. I'm tired of squatting, so I found my stool here, my 5-gallon bucket. So I'm also at that phase where it's like, I don't know if that's blood or if that's lubricant. So we're just going to ignore it. And I've learned a lot of things throughout this process. One of them being, if you buy every gasket you need for $40, probably not a great gasket. So this is what came with the Summit rebuild kit. And for the most part, I mean, a lot of these are going to be fine, but I went ahead and got a Fel-Pro one-piece oil pan gasket instead of dealing with all the other stuff, and I got Fel-Pro head gaskets, and these would have probably been fine, but because I've got aluminum heads and an iron block, I wanted to go a little bit nicer, so I ordered those. But I mean, those two gaskets alone were four times what this entire set was. So you get what you pay for, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, when it comes to things like I don't want to replace head gaskets, I don't want to replace the oil pan gasket. So I'm like, well, I might as well just go ahead and buy a nice one. That doesn't mean I'm not gonna put it on wrong, but at least I'll know it's quality. So I'm gonna clean off this surface here. Where's my rag at? So I had all of my things out nice and neat yesterday, assuming I was going to get it all done, and I didn't. So what happened was it started to rain on me, and I was like in a mad dash to get all my stuff up. And so I went to bed defeated and decided this morning at 5 o'clock that I was not going to drag everything out. I was just going to bring it out as I needed it. In the event that it decides to rain on me again randomly, I won't worry about it getting messed up. So, God, that burns. Yep, that's blood, not lubricant. So I'm going to clean off this surface here with some brake cleaner. Make sure it's nice and free of any debris or particulate matter. Yeah, this is a cheapo gasket, but it should be okay. Just line it up with the dowels. Dowel. There we go. And I actually bought new timing cover bolts. Continuing on, pretending I know what I'm doing. Ooh, there's washers too. I didn't realize there were washers on these. Yeah, so these are, so you can see this. So these, that side's flat. That side has a little chamfer in it. So that goes towards the bolt, like so. So I gotta make sure I do that right. So I'm just gonna use one to get it installed, and then I'm gonna come back later. I'm gonna remember which one I use, and I'm gonna come back and I don't really like the way this thing fits. It is not a precision. There we go. So we're gonna go with this top one here. We're gonna hand tighten it. Okay. All right. I don't like how that gasket, I mean, I guess it doesn't matter as long as it's, you know. So I'm going to, remember, that's the one that I put in without any assembly lube. And I'm gonna go ahead and put all of these washers on the correct orientation while I'm thinking about it. Yeah. So I am going to not bore you with this. So I'll probably just time lapse this. And then once I get this torqued down, I'll figure out what's next on my list and we'll go from there. Story time. So I am putting this on, and I don't have a big enough wrench, so I had to use this little baby adjustable wrench. And it's just at the point now where this is not enough leverage. So I was like, well, I'll go to the store. So I went to the store and I bought an overpriced wrench, and I bought a 1-inch wrench, and it was too small. So I came all the way home and I was like, what the heck? I actually glanced at the instructions before I left, and there's a picture of a 1-inch wrench, and this says 1 inch on it. But apparently you can go beyond 1 inch on this little thing, and it's actually 1 inch and a 16th. So I think. So fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, buy all the tools and returns the one you don't need. So that's what I did. But I wanted to record this part because this terrifies me, because a lot can go wrong here. I don't like press fit things. If this is not perfectly square, like it can jack things up. If this could break, it could strip the threads. It just stresses me out. You don't know exactly how far back you are until you're all the way on. So it's just a lot that can go wrong, and it stresses me out. So I'm going to record it and talk through it. But I'm going to put this on the end here because it was starting to spin on me. But this is way more leverage than I had. Oh yeah. It's much better. I'm trying to just be even pressure, and I'm just tired. It's really hot today. It's like 93 degrees in the shade. But things are going pretty good. Man, it's getting hot. There's a lot of twerks. So I'm hoping it will be obvious when I hit the sprocket, because this is feeling fairly consistent. Man, that's hot. Fairly consistent. Oh, now it's getting hard. So maybe, I think that's it. Let's see. Well, that's not good, but I don't know what that came from, but that's not good. These shavings, I'm hoping the shavings are from the tool. It seems to be squared up, but so I'm gonna get the thingamajig. I'm losing my words here, and I'm gonna go ahead and put it on and call it good. So I did a little research, and it is normal to have some shavings. I think that's probably a little more than normal, but I completely I put RTV on the snout, but I didn't put any lubricant. Or I did, but I wiped it off and I forgot to put some back on. So I'm thinking that's just, as I was pushing it on, it's such a tight fit that it just shaved a little bit of it off. Everything rotates fine. And at this point, it's the only option would be to remove it and check it. And, there's really nothing I can do at this point. It doesn't look like inside of the snout doesn't look bad. So I'm going to keep moving. I was going to install the timing pointer, but this is way too long. It like goes beyond the harmonic balancer. So I'm gonna have to get another one. But I flipped it over. My goal, I'm gonna try and get the oil pan on and tidy up the bottom, and then that way the only thing I have left is to focus on the top, which I'll probably end up doing tomorrow. And I'll probably split that into another video. But next step is gonna get the oil pump on. All right, so let me double check a couple things, and then we're gonna get this on, and we're gonna put the oil filter adapter back on, and we're gonna go ahead and put an oil filter on it to close it up, and then we're gonna put the fan on. So let me get some tools, and we'll keep going. You can tell I'm getting tired because I'm just trying to take shortcuts. So I'm gonna take this apart and lube it up. I got the stock style pickup, and I wish I'd got the one, so it's like a press in, and I wish I'd got the one that has the attachment that like attaches to one of these screws here. But I mean, that's how they ran it from the factory. So I'm gonna put some washers on top of it and push it down with the oil pan to make sure that I've got enough clearance. I'm gonna tape the washers so they don't fly everywhere and go down on my engine. So, do I clean this? I might clean that surface. I might leave this a little oily just because it'll keep it from, well, I guess it doesn't matter if it rusts because I'm about to put in theory, I'm about to put the oil pan on. Okay. That one's good. That one's good. I'll give her a little, it's the last little bit of my brake cleaner. At least this bottle. Gosh, I have got some serious paper cuts on these hands. Okay. Like so. And then get them started. Get them started. And that's going to be What size is that? That's muy pequeño. Is it you? 3/8? I don't know. You're bigger than that. How big a boy are you? All right. I'll put that back together later. 20 foot-pounds, so let's go down 5 twerks. Yep, there's a tika. Tika. All right. Golden. All right, now I got to get this guy on. Time travel. A lot went wrong, but there's a silver lining. So I'm talking into a microphone here. I feel fancy. I'm holding it. So what you're watching now actually will have happened after pretty much all of the next video. So long story short, I ordered a different pickup because I wanted a bolt-on pickup, because my phone died as I was recording, putting this in, but I realized that I didn't have the right pickup, and I was like, well, I'm just going to order the other pickup. I'm going to wait. I'll flip it over and I'll start on the top end. Things go terribly wrong there as well. You'll see that. But what that did cause is I paused a little bit, and as I was reading my instructions for my rockers, I read that it said, do not use high volume oil pump. I had a high volume oil pump. So you'll see that in the next video, but long story short, I bought a standard volume, standard pressure oil pump, used the pickup that I had, and I tack welded it in place. Getting it in was an absolute pain. And I wish I'd recorded that, but I did it at lunch thinking I was just going to do it really quick and it wasn't a big deal. Well, I had to get my wife to help me hold it down and wrangle it in. I used a 5/8 wrench and just hammered it home. And the trick there is not to tap. You just got a solid whack. So I'm ready to button up the bottom end. So what we're going to do is I've got a Felpro one-piece gasket. It sits really high, but I measured everything, and it's the one I was supposed to get. And everyone online that I've watched says, don't be worried, it crushes down in the corners or over the ribs here. So I'm going to put a dab of silicone in the corners, and then I'm going to clean this up really quick with brake clean one last time. I'm going to clean the surface of the oil pan. I've torqued this down to 50 foot-pounds. I put the rod in. I actually forgot that and had to take it off, so don't forget that. That would be really frustrating to put in and forget that. So put that in, put this on, hope my bolts are long enough, and finish this up. So to finish it all off tonight, I also had to get a new timing pointer because the one I had covered the entire harmonic balancer. So to top it all off, we're going to finish by putting that on, bagging her up, and saving the top end for the rest of the next video that you're going to watch, hopefully. So I'm going to finish it. I'm going to time lapse it. If I stop time lapsing and I don't go immediately into putting on the pointer, then you'll know something went wrong, and we'll talk about it. So let's get to it. Ta-da. It is with much rejoicing I say the bottom end is complete. I had to fight with a couple bolts back there. The gasket didn't want to line up, but we got it done. Bottom end is done. It's late. I'm going to bag it up and do the top end next. See you in the next video.